Chapter 13 Revenge. The sun was setting as a Toyota saloon dropped James and Joe at the main campus gate. A few of Joe's redshirt friends ran out of the reception area and gave her consoling hugs as James headed off to the lift, slightly put out that none of his mates had shown their faces. "Brucey!" James yelled as he pounded his fist on his 14-year-old mate's door. "You in there?" "Wait a sec," Bruce yelled shakily. I'm getting dressed." But it was Kerry that James saw pulling a t-shirt over her head as he burst into the room. "Oh, sorry," James gasped, averting his eyes. "I didn't know you were in here. I was trying to catch Bruce in the nudie." "We were just, Bruce spluttered awkwardly. "Making out like randy dogs?" James grinned. "Not that it's any of your business if we were," Kerry said sourly. James and Kerry were just about on speaking terms, but she was still sore after he dumped her for Dana. "How was Malaysia?" Bruce asked. James shrugged. "Hot, wet, and too many bugs." "Any breaking news on Gabriel?" "Nothing new since breakfast," Kerry said. James gave her a smile. "Have you been okay? Gab's pretty much your best mate." "I'm no worse off than a lot of other people." "So, is anyone else around?" "Lauren's in Kyle's room," Bruce said. "They've got a problem with Mr. Large, and they wanted to ask us about it. We said we'd head up there after we'd had some time to ourselves." Kerry raised an eyebrow. "We might as well go now, seeing as James disturbed us." James had dated a few girls on missions, but he'd never had to live with them after the breakup. Kerry was part of his crowd, and over the past few months he'd learned that no matter how much you pretend it doesn't matter, it's still uncomfortable having an ex-girlfriend around. The trio headed along the 6th floor corridor and found Kyle's door open. Lauren lay face down on Kyle's bed, flipping through a copy of Heat magazine, with the man himself sprawled over a leather beanbag. "Good news, everyone! It's me!" James said exuberantly. "We noticed," Lauren said as she faked a yawn. James tutted. "Don't dive over enthusiasm, will you?" "You've only been away for 10 days, Kyle said. "What do you expect, a ticker tape parade?" "And nobody's exactly in a laughing mood at the moment," Lauren added. "So what's this problem?" Kerry asked, as she slid her arm around Bruce's back. Kyle explained about Large threatening Meatball, and that Merrill was going to speak to Hewitt and arrange to have the dog taken into campus. "So it's not ideal, but Meatball's safe," James said. "What's the big problem?" "Rod Nilsson," Kyle said. James was fuzzy-headed after the long flight and wondered if he'd missed something. "Who?" "You know James," Lauren said. "Remember that night we were in your room and everyone started getting out photos from when they were little?" "Oh, gotcha," James nodded. "Rod was Kyle's best friend, the one who never made it through basic training." "That's the man," Kyle said. "Rod took basic training with me, and he got to day 83. He's asthmatic, and we were in the desert. Large had decided that it was Rod's day to be picked on. The air was really dusty, and I carried most of Rod's kit because he was fighting for breath. Not long after we set camp for the night, this massive sandstorm blew up. It snuffed our fire before we could cook any food, and all we could do was huddle inside our tents and hope they didn't get blown away. After about an hour, the winds died off, but the air was still thick with dust. Large dragged Rod out of his tent because of his bad attitude and started making him do push-ups and squats. There was no way he could do it, and he started coughing really badly. Large ran off to get a canteen, but Rod ended up having a full-scale asthma attack and passed out. Luckily, we were in America, and there was a medical chopper on the scene within 15 minutes. Rod ended up in hospital for 3 days. The asthma attack was really bad, and he started getting nightmares about being unable to breathe. He went back to campus and built himself up to full fitness, but when it came to restarting basic training, he couldn't face Mr. Large putting him in that kind of position again. So he quit. James nodded. You told me this story before. You still send him letters and stuff, don't you? Mostly emails, Kyle said. We usually meet up every year around Christmas time, and he's going travelling with me after he's sat his A-levels. Maybe it was for the best though, James said. I mean, if he was a severe asthmatic. He wasn't, Kerry said angrily. Rod had an inhaler, and he got short of breath sometimes, but he only collapsed because Mr. Large was bullying him. Didn't Large get a reprimand or anything? Kyle shook his head. Large wrote up a report saying that Rod hadn't experienced any previous problems with his asthma that day, and all the other instructors backed him up. Did you say anything? James asked. Kyle shook his head. Maybe I should have, but I was 10 years old. In those days, Mr. Large had the other instructors in his pocket, and it would have been our word against theirs. And you can imagine the misery Large would have put Rod through if he'd made a formal complaint and then restarted basic training. So Large is a butt wipe, James said. It's hardly earth-shattering news. And what does any of this have to do with Lauren and Meatball? Nothing, Kyle said, except for the fact that 7 years on, Large is up to the same dirty tricks, trying to blackmail Lauren and weasel his way back into a job as a training instructor. I'm leaving Cherub in 2 months, and I've decided that before I go, I'm going to get Large back for all the nasty stuff he's done. Cool, James grinned. I'm in. What's the plan? That's our problem, Lauren said. We haven't got one. Maybe we should leave it to the staff, Kerry said. He's probably going to be kicked out anyway, and we could get in trouble. James shook his head, and Bruce tutted. Come on, Kerry, Lauren said. You're always so straight. You've got as much reason to hate Large as anyone else. I'm leaving in 2 months, so I'll take the rap, Kyle said. They can't punish me because I'll just walk out early. I've got it, Bruce announced. Why don't we go to his house in the dead of night carrying baseball bats and dressed in masks and stuff, then drag him out of bed and beat the crap out of him? Subtle, James laughed. Brilliant, Lauren said. Unless he has another heart attack and dies, and we all end up getting done for murder. And even if he's just battered, we'd all get expelled. Bruce snapped his fingers. Large is smart. He threatened Lauren by getting to Meatball. We've got to find a way of winding him up by getting at something close to him. Maybe we could do over his Rottweilers, Thatcher and Saddam. No way, Lauren said. We're not hurting those poor defenseless animals. James smirked. They didn't seem defenseless when they were trying to bite chunks out of my ass. Kidnapping and poisoning are too extreme, Kyle said. I like Bruce's idea of getting to him, but it's got to be subtle. Well, Kerry said, I don't really want any part of this, but he's got a 14-year-old daughter. I think she's called Haley, and fathers tend to be very protective towards teenage daughters. Yes, Kyle said triumphantly. Kerry, that's it. I could kiss you. You wanting to kiss a girl? James grinned. There's a first. It was a cheap shot, and everybody groaned. James tutted. Sorry I spoke. So what can we do to Large's daughter? We've got to do something that upsets Large, but isn't actually too harmful to his daughter, Lauren said. Exactly, Kyle agreed. I've seen Haley Large at the bowling alley in town a few times, and I don't think she has a boyfriend. James nodded. I highly doubt it. She's a complete heifer. Kerry punched James on the arm. Don't be so sexist. Hey, James yelled. You're not my bird anymore, so if you go around hitting me, I might just hit you back. Kerry laughed. Ha! Try it and see where it gets you. Kerry had a point. She was miles smaller than James, but she could still kick his ass. Here we go again, Lauren sighed. I definitely preferred it when you two weren't talking to each other. Getting back to the subject at hand, Kyle said firmly, what we need is a boyfriend for Haley Large. A good-looking guy who's comfortable around girls, but who would also make Mr. Large throw a fit if he thought the lad was trying to get his hands on his daughter's goodies. That's a sweet idea, Lauren grinned. James nodded, until he realised that 4 sets of eyes were staring at him. Oh no, James said. Not me. Totally you, Lauren said as she bounced on Kyle's bed with excitement. You're always mouthing off about what a stud you are and how girls find you irresistible. Now you've got a chance to prove it.